How much for one night? I hugged my thin jacket tighter. My voice, when it came out, didn't even sound like my own. It was raw, brittle, $20,000. A beat of silence. I thought he would laugh. I wanted him to laugh, to call me crazy, to tell me to get the hell out of his car so I could crawl back into the hole my life had become. Instead, a corner of his mouth ticked up in a smirk that wasn't humorous at all. It was tired, broken, a street girl demanding 20 grand. Why? My chin trembled, but I forced it still. I met his gaze in the rearview mirror. My own reflection, a ghost I didn't recognize. Pale, wide-eyed, desperate. Because I'm a virgin. The lie tasted like ash in my mouth, but it was the only armor I had. The truth was far more pathetic. The truth was a stack of medical bills with my mother's name on them. A final notice from the hospital that felt like a death sentence. Even a virgin isn't worth that price, he said, his voice a low rumble. I need the money, I whispered, the words catching in my throat. For my mom's surgery. If you agree, we do this. If not, then please just let me go. I need to find someone else. He stared at me for a long moment, his eyes searching mine for something. Truth. A crack in my facade. Then, he gestured with his chin toward the empty passenger seat. Get in. My heart hammered against my ribs. The money first. Transfer it now. Then we go. He turned to look at me fully. A genuine, almost amused smile, finally touching his lips. You think I'm going to scam you? These days, I said, my voice hardening. It's hard to tell the predators from the prey. I'm just being careful. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone, his thumb tapping silently on the glass screen. A moment later, a soft chime echoed from my own phone in my pocket. The notification lit up the darkness. Bank of America. A direct deposit of $25,000 has been received. I blinked, confused. You sent an extra $5,000. Consider it a bonus, he said, his voice dropping again, losing its edge. For the trouble. Now, can we go? Yeah, I breathed out. The word a puff of white in the cold air. Thank you. I followed him to his car, a sleek, black machine that looked like it belonged on a movie set, not parked on the edge of this forgotten, gritty street. He started the engine, and instead of heading towards the city's cheap motels, he drove straight towards the coast, the sound of the ocean growing louder and louder until it was all I could hear. He parked on a deserted stretch of beach, the car's headlights cutting a path across the sand and the dark, churning waves. He killed the engine, and the sudden silence was deafening. He pulled out a bottle of amber liquid and 2 small glasses. A little whiskey to warm us up, he offered. Okay, I said, my hands shaking as I took the glass. But, please, be quick. I need to get back to the hospital, to my mom. His brow furrowed. I thought I bought you for the night. You did, but I can't stay. I have to be with her later. All right, he sighed, a hint of resignation in his voice. He took a sip of his whiskey. What's your name? Emma. He waited, as if expecting me to ask for his. I didn't. You're not going to ask for mine, he prompted. It doesn't matter, I said, my voice flat. I was trying to disconnect, to turn this into nothing more than what it was. This is a transaction, a business deal, and frankly, it's not something I want to remember. After tonight, I'm going to forget everything. I don't need to know your name. He looked at me, a strange expression on his face. You're not scared of me. I took 3 years of Krav Maga. I lied again, though I had taken a few self-defense classes at the community center. If you try to hurt me, I promise It won't end well for you. So, you should think carefully." He didn't look threatened. Instead, he threw his head back and laughed. A real, deep laugh that surprised me. He found it amusing that a girl selling her body for cash had this much fight in her. But I could see something else in his eyes too. Interest. He started unbuttoning his shirt. Seeing his movement, my body went rigid. I quickly took off my own jacket, then my sweater, my hands fumbling. I closed my eyes, downed the entire glass of whiskey in one go, the burn searing a path down my throat. Then, I leaned toward him and began. I felt his lips on my neck, and a violent shiver ran through me. Fear. It coiled in my stomach like a snake. But then I saw my mother's face behind my closed eyelids, pale and weak in that hospital bed, and I bit down on my lip, willing the tears not to fall. My hands gripped the leather of the car seat, my knuckles turning white. "Don't be so tense," he murmured against my skin. "Relax." My voice was a choked whisper. This is my first time. Please, be gentle." He didn't answer, just a soft sound in his throat. And then, everything changed. There, in his car on that windswept beach, with the salt-laced wind whistling through a crack in the window, a strange heat began to build between us. After he realized I hadn't been lying, that I truly was untouched, something shifted in him. A sense of respect. Maybe. He slowed down. He treated me not like a purchase, but like a lover. His hands were gentle, his movements careful, coaxing. He was patient, considerate, and he made sure I wasn't hurt, that I wasn't just an object for his release. Have you ever been in a situation so terrible, yet found a moment of unexpected, bewildering grace? Maybe it was the whiskey, maybe it was the surreal setting, or maybe it was just him, this sad, handsome stranger, who for one night decided to be kind. But in the midst of the most shameful act of my life, he made me feel seen, cared for. And when it was over, we were both breathless, satisfied, clinging to each other in the dark. We lay there for what felt like an hour, wrapped in his coat, the sound of the waves, a steady rhythm outside. Then, the reality of what I'd done crashed back down on me. I gently pushed him away and started gathering my clothes. "In such a hurry?" he asked, his voice thick with sleep. "Stay until morning. I'll pay you more." "I can't," I said, pulling on my jeans. "I have to go. Thank you for everything, and the extra 5,000 you sent. I'm keeping it. I'm sorry, but I can't pay you back. I'm too poor." I didn't wait for a reply. I opened the car door and ran. "Hey, wait." I heard his voice behind me, but I didn't look back. I imagined he was about to chase me, but then remembered he was still half dressed. I just kept running, my shadow stretching long and thin across the sand, until it was swallowed by the darkness. He had my name, Emma, but that was all he would ever have. His name was Liam. He was the CEO of Lumiere Media, a rising star in the tech and entertainment world, and his life, at that moment, was falling apart. His company was drowning in a scandal, a nasty rumor about data fraud that was threatening to sink everything he'd built. On top of that, he'd just discovered that his girlfriend of 5 years was cheating on him, leaving him for a richer, older rival. His best friend Noah had given him some crude advice. "Dude, you're cursed. You need to go get laid. Just blow off some steam, break the bad luck streak." Liam had laughed it off as ridiculous, but that night, driving aimlessly through the city's forgotten streets, he saw me, a small, scared girl with no makeup, standing awkwardly under a streetlight, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else in the world. An impulse, born of misery and a desperate need for a distraction, made him pull over. The transaction itself was a blur, $20,000 was a shocking number, but in the grand scheme of his collapsing world, money had lost its meaning. It was just paper. When she said she needed it for her mother, something inside him, a long dormant piece of his humanity, flickered. The extra $5,000 was an unconscious act of penance, a desperate attempt to do one good thing in a sea of bad. And now, he couldn't get her out of his head. Meanwhile, after I'd run until my lungs burned and I was sure he wasn't following, I found a 24-hour ATM. The machine hummed under the fluorescent lights as I withdrew the cash. $25,000. It felt heavy, dirty, and sacred all at once. I went straight to the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptic hitting me like a physical blow. My mother was asleep, her face thin and pale against the white pillow. The rhythmic beep of the heart monitor was the only sound in the room. I sat by her bed, holding her frail hand, and I watched her until the sun came up. That morning, I paid for her surgery in full, and as the weeks passed, she began to heal. The color returned to her cheeks. Her smile, once a weak flicker, became bright again. Every day, I cared for her. I cooked for her, read to her, helped her with her physical therapy. I was so consumed by the sheer relief and the demanding routine of being a caregiver that I didn't have time to think about him. I didn't allow myself to think about him. I built a wall around that memory, brick by painful brick. It was a transaction. It was a stain, a scar I would carry forever. But it was a scar that had saved my mother's life, and for that, I would carry it without complaint. I pushed his face, his voice, the feel of his hands, into a deep, dark box and locked it away. I convinced myself I had forgotten, and for Liam, after that night, things began to turn around. Maybe it was the shock to his system, the raw, human connection in the midst of his sterile corporate crisis. He walked back into his office the next day with a clear head and a renewed fire. He fought the rumors, exposed the real source of the data leak, and saved his company. Lumiere Media didn't just survive, it thrived, growing bigger and more successful than ever. Sometimes, in the quiet moments late at night, his thoughts would drift back to a dark beach, a bottle of whiskey, and a girl named Emma. The memory was a ghost that lingered at the edge of his vision. He drove back to that beach a few times, searching for, he didn't even know what. A sign? Her. But she was gone. "Liam, you idiot," he'd mutter to himself, staring out at the empty waves. Get a grip. She was a one-night stand. Forget her. He tried. He really did. 3 years later, the buzz of my alarm clock dragged me from a dreamless sleep for the third time. 6:00 a.m. I rolled out of bed, the floorboards cold beneath my feet. The routine was second nature now. Brush my teeth, wash my face, pull my hair into a messy bun. On my way out, I stopped by the little bakery on the corner. The smell of fresh bread and coffee, a small comfort. I bought a warm croissant and a coffee for my mom, then headed back upstairs to our small apartment before getting ready for my own day. I usually skipped breakfast myself. It was a habit born from necessity that had solidified into routine. My name is Emma. I'm 24 years old now. I work as a cashier at the local grocery store down the street. Without a college degree, my options were limited, and I knew I needed to stay close to home for my mom. The job was fine. It paid the bills. It was a 5-minute walk from our apartment. That was enough. But my life, it seems, has a talent for complications. The store manager, a guy named Dave with a cheap suit and a wedding ring he'd conveniently forget about, decided he was interested in me. He was married, with 2 kids whose pictures sat right on his desk. I shut him down. Politely at first, then firmly. But he didn't get the hint. He was always finding excuses to help me at my register, bringing me coffees I didn't want, his hand lingering a little too long when he passed me a schedule. I told him directly, looking him straight in the eye, "I'm not interested, Dave. Please stop." He'd just laugh it off, treating it like a game. It made my skin crawl. The whispers started among the other staff. I knew it was only a matter of time before it blew up into something ugly, something that could reach his wife. So, to avoid the inevitable drama, I quit. It turned out to be the right call. The day after I left, I heard that Dave's wife had stormed into the store, screaming about rumors she'd heard. A bullet dodged, but now I was jobless. My mom's health was stable, but she needed daily medication, and the costs were a constant weight on my shoulders. I couldn't afford to be lazy, not even for a day. I updated my resume and hit the pavement. It was soul-crushing. Everywhere I went, the first question was, "Do you have a degree?" My high school diploma wasn't enough. After a week of rejections, I was walking through the city's gleaming business district, feeling hopeless, when I saw it, a sleek, glass and steel skyscraper with a sign that read, "Lumiere Media," in minimalist silver letters, and taped inside the glass door, a simple printed flyer. Cleaning staff wanted, starting wage, $28, hour, 6 hours per day. 6 hours a day for that kind of pay. It seemed too good to be true. I walked in, filled out an application, and had a brief interview with the head of maintenance. The job was simple. Clean the executive offices on the second floor. 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon. The first floor had its own cleaner. It seemed manageable, almost peaceful. I decided to take it, agreeing to a 1-week trial period to see how it felt. The work itself wasn't hard. The offices were so modern and pristine that my job was mostly just maintaining the shine. Wiping down glass tables, vacuuming plush carpets, dusting surfaces that were barely dusty to begin with. The midday break gave me time to run errands or check on my mom. In the evenings, I picked up a few shifts as a server at a coffee shop to make ends meet. My goal was to clear $3,000 a month. It would be enough for us to live on, to be stable. We didn't need my father. He'd walked out years ago, right after my mom got sick, said he couldn't handle the burden. He moved in with his new girlfriend and never looked back. During the half year my mom was in the hospital, he didn't visit once, didn't contribute a single dollar. I remember going to him, begging for help, for money for her treatment. He yelled at me, called me a burden, and threw me out of his new, perfect house. That was the day I hit rock bottom. That was the day I ended up on that cold, dark street. The memory of that humiliation, that desperation, fueled a deep-seated hatred in me. I never wanted to see him again. This job, this life I was building, was my way of proving to him and to myself that we didn't need him. We would survive. After a week, I knew the cleaning job was a good fit. I signed a 6-month contract. My life fell into a new rhythm. Clean in the morning, serve coffee at night, work, work, work. I was 24 and I'd never been on a real date, never had a boyfriend. I didn't have time for it, and honestly, I didn't have the desire. Taking care of my mom, earning enough to keep us afloat, that was my entire world. Everything else was just noise. Time passed. I got my first paycheck from Lumiere Media, 2 weeks' pay. I took it home and gave it all to my mom. My earnings from the coffee shop, about $800. I kept $200 for myself for expenses. The rest, I gave to her to put away. It wasn't that I was cheap. I was terrified. I was saving for the day her illness might come back, for the day we'd be helpless again. I remembered that night on the beach when I had something to sell. Now I had nothing left. I just had my 2 hands and my will to work. I had to build a safety net, $1 at a time, to prove to my father, wherever he was, that we were fine, that we were better off without him. So I worked, like a machine. Wake up, go to Lumiere Media, come home at 5, eat, shower, go to the coffee shop, work until 11, sleep, repeat. My entire wardrobe consisted of 3 pairs of jeans and 5 t-shirts. I wore 1 pair of sneakers until the soles were thin. My mom noticed. "Emma, honey," she said one evening, her brow creased with worry. "You need to buy yourself some new clothes. These are all getting so worn out." "They're fine, Mom. Still perfectly good," I replied, not looking up from the dishes. "Perfectly good? The back of your jeans are faded white. Here." She pressed a wad of cash into my hand. $200. "Every month you give me almost everything you earn. We have more than enough in savings. Please, go buy yourself something nice. You're a young woman. You shouldn't be dressing like a tired old woman. How am I ever going to get a son-in-law if you don't even try?" I laughed, pushing the money back towards her. "I'm still young, Mom. I'll find someone in a few years. My clothes are fine, really. You keep the money. I'll ask you if I need it." "You're 24, Emma. That's marrying age. 24 is the new 18, Mom. I'm thinking 28, maybe 30. I've got plenty of time. By 28, you'll be an old maid." "No way," I grinned. "Your daughter is way too beautiful for that." I refused to take the money. So, she took matters into her own hands. A few days later, she went out and came back with shopping bags. She bought me new jeans, a few nice sweaters. She cut off the tags and washed them immediately, so I had no choice but to wear them. I had to admit, it felt nice to wear something new for a change. Liam had just gotten back from a business trip to Seoul. His assistant, Noah, picked him up from the airport. "You're back," Noah said, grabbing Liam's suitcase. "I thought you weren't coming home until next week." "I missed you, Noah," Liam said with a completely straight face. Noah grimaced. "Ugh, what did you just say? You just gave me goosebumps, man." "Seriously," I said, "I missed you. Are you deaf?" "Dude, I'm not gay," Noah shot back. "And even if I was, you are definitely not my type. Got it? What's wrong with me, huh? Tell me." "Oh my God, my skin is crawling. Can you please stop? Just stop." Liam finally cracked a smile. "Fine. No more jokes. How are things at the office?" "Good. That big contract with Vanguard finally came through. We're going to be swamped for the next few months." "Excellent. And what about the Apex proposal?" "Apex said they'll discuss it when you get back. You know their head of acquisitions, Rebecca, has a thing for you. She wants to negotiate. In person." Liam's face soured. "You think I should go for it? With her? Hey man, I think you should date someone with some meat on their bones. It's good for you." "You're insane, Noah. I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than date her. Don't you ever try to set me up with someone like that again. Clear?" Yeah, Crystal. I get it." Up on the 2nd floor, I was mopping the hallway when Maria, the cleaner from the 1st floor, came up to give me a heads up. "Hey, the big boss is back today," she whispered conspiratorially. "Make sure everything is extra spotless, you know?" "Oh, okay, thanks." I realized then that in the 2 months I'd been working here, I had never once seen the CEO. Maria told me he was incredibly handsome, but cold and intimidating. I was curious. I wanted to see this handsome, cold CEO for myself. Just a peek. As I was cleaning the main conference room, 2 women from the marketing department ducked in, pulling out compacts and lipstick. "How's this shade look?" one asked, puckering her lips in a mirror. "Perfect. Is my hair straight enough?" not too flat. "No, you look great. The boss is rarely here. We have to look our absolute best. Maybe he'll finally notice one of us. He's my boss. He won't be interested in you. Stop dreaming." "Excuse me? Who says he's yours?" They actually started bickering over a man they barely knew. I couldn't understand what was so special about this CEO that made them act like this. As their argument got louder, I finally walked over. "Excuse me," I said quietly. "Could you please step outside? I need to finish cleaning the floor." They both turned on me, their frustration instantly redirecting. "What's with the attitude?" The first one sneered. "You're just the cleaner. Do you have any idea who we are? I could have you fired right now." Her entitled tone lit a fuse inside me, but I swallowed my anger. I needed this job. "I didn't mean anything by it," I said, my voice carefully neutral. "It's just, you're standing right where I need to mop. I'll stand wherever I want." The second one chimed in, her voice dripping with disdain. "God, you poor, pathetic people are all the same." "That was uncalled for," I said, my voice rising despite myself. "Oh yeah? I like saying it. What are you gonna do about it? Huh? Go on. Do something." She was deliberately trying to provoke me. Then, she took the half-empty cup of iced coffee from her hand, dumped it on the floor right in front of me, and dropped the plastic cup on top of the puddle. She smirked, her face a mask of triumph. Clean it up perfectly, or I'll make sure you disappear from this company." I was shaking with fury, but I bit my tongue, grabbed my mop, and started cleaning up her mess. Their cruel laughter echoed in the quiet room. Just then, a man's voice cut through the air. "What's going on in here?" The two women immediately straightened up, their expressions shifting from cruel to sycophantic. "Oh, Mr. Evans, hello. When did you get here?" "Just now." "What was that all about?" "Oh, nothing, sir. We were just instructing the new cleaning staff on the importance of keeping things tidy, especially since the CEO is back today." "Is that so?" he said, his eyes narrowing slightly, because what I heard sounded a lot like you two yelling at her. Something about making her disappear. What does that mean exactly? Hearing him defend me, a wave of relief washed over me. He was standing up for me. I glanced up at him. He was handsome, with kind eyes behind a pair of stylish glasses. I offered a small, grateful smile before continuing my work. After a stern lecture from him, the two women were forced to apologize to me before scurrying back to their desks. He then turned to me. "Why do you let people walk all over you like that?" he asked, his voice gentle. "I need this job," I said simply, "and for a job, you'll tolerate that kind of abuse." "I only let them push me as far as I can handle," I admitted. "If they cross a certain line, there will be consequences. But thank you for stepping in. You restored my faith in humanity a little bit." "It was nothing. I'm Noah, by the way." "Emma, you're so young, Emma. Why a cleaning job?" "It's simple. I don't have a degree, and without one, this is the kind of work I can get. Look, if you ever need help or want to find a better job, something less physically demanding with good pay, let me know. I can help you." "No, thank you," I said, shaking my head. "I don't like being indebted to people. I'm content with my work, but thank you again. I have to get back to it." I gave him a final nod and pushed my cleaning cart away. Noah stood there for a moment, scratching his head. Did my kindness just get brutally rejected? He mumbled to himself with a confused smile. Noah made his way back to the executive suite, shaking his head with a reluctant smile. He found Rebecca from Apex Holdings perched on the edge of a leather chair in the reception area, her bright pink pantsuit a stark contrast to the office's muted, minimalist decor. "Rebecca," Noah said, feigning surprise. What brings you to our humble abode? Noah, darling, she chirped, her voice a little too loud. I heard the king had returned to his castle. Where is he? Liam's on his way up. He should be here in about 20 minutes, Noah said, trying to edge past her toward his desk. If you'd just like to wait. But Rebecca was on a mission. She stood up, blocking his path. Give me the inside scoop, Noah. What's his type? I mean, his real type. Is he into the sophisticated, high-powered woman? Or more of a homebody? You know, someone to cook for him? Noah fought to keep a straight face. He knew Liam's actual type was, leave me alone. But where was the fun in that? You want to know his type? Noah leaned in conspiratorially. Okay, but you didn't hear this from me. He's into edgy, you know, cool. The kind of woman who looks like she could build an empire with one hand and fix a motorcycle with the other. Rebecca's perfectly made-up face fell for a second. Edgy? Like tattoos? Maybe, Noah mused, warming to his subject. Definitely independent. Modern. Maybe a little intimidating. Yeah, he likes a challenge. Oh, I can be a challenge, Rebecca said, a little too quickly. I'm sure you can, Noah said, finally managing to get to his desk. Just as he sat down, the elevator chimed, and the glass doors to the suite slid open. Liam strode in. The entire atmosphere of the room shifted, growing colder, more intense. He saw Rebecca, and his expression, already neutral, became a mask of polished stone. Rebecca, he said. It wasn't a greeting. It was an acknowledgement of a fact. Liam, you're back, she gushed, her face lighting up. I was waiting for you. I see that, he said, not breaking stride as he headed for his office. Noah, bring in the Apex contract. Let's sign it. Inside his office, as Liam laid out the documents, Rebecca's eyes were glued to his face, his hands, the way his jaw tensed when he spoke. She wasn't reading a single word. Rebecca, Noah said gently, pointing to a paragraph. You might want to look at the liability clause. She waved a dismissive hand, never taking her eyes off Liam. Oh, it's fine. I trust Liam completely. Just tell me where to sign. She signed the multi-million-dollar contract with a dramatic flourish of her pen, as if she were signing an autograph. As soon as it was done, Liam stood up. My next meeting is in 5, he said, his tone final. Rebecca scrambled to her feet, intercepting him before he could leave. Liam, wait! Now that the deal is done, we should celebrate. Let me take you out for a drink. Liam stopped. He looked at her, really looked at her, his gaze clinical and detached. You know, Rebecca, he said, his voice dangerously quiet. When you finally decide to take your health seriously, give me a call. Maybe then we can talk. And with that, he walked out, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. Rebecca stood frozen, her smile collapsing, the humiliation washing over her face like a physical blow. Noah sighed, running a hand through his hair. And I'm the one who has to clean this up, he muttered to the empty room. Every single time. Later that afternoon, I was pushing a heavy bin of recycled paper toward the service elevator when one of the junior executives, a woman with a sharp haircut and an even sharper tone, stopped me. Excuse me, she snapped. This is the employee elevator. Service staff uses the one at the end of the hall. I looked up, realizing my mistake. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. I started to pull the heavy bin back, my face burning with embarrassment, when a familiar voice cut in. It's all right. She can ride with me. It was Noah, the kind man from this morning. But sir, the woman protested, the policy is... I'm allowing it, Noah said, his voice calm but firm, leaving no room for argument. Is that a problem? No, sir. Of course not. She scurried away. Noah held the elevator door for me. I pushed the bin inside, the space suddenly feeling very small. He pressed the button for the ground floor, and we rode down in silence. I kept my eyes fixed on the floor, but I could feel him looking at me. This close, he could see the things no one else in this building noticed. The slight fraying on the cuff of my uniform, the faint scent of lemon-scented cleaner that clung to me, the determined set of my jaw. He saw a girl who didn't belong in his world of glass and steel, yet moved through it with a quiet dignity that fascinated him. He noticed the surprising clarity of her skin, the deep, soulful brown of her eyes, and the way she held herself, as if braced for a blow. He found himself thinking that if she ever smiled, a real smile, it would probably light up the entire city. The doors slid open on the ground floor. Before I could move, he stepped forward and effortlessly pushed the heavy bin out into the hallway for me. The gesture caught me off guard. He was a senior executive. He shouldn't be helping the cleaning lady. His kindness felt complicated. There you go, he said with a warm smile. I looked away, pushing the bin toward the service exit. Thank you, I mumbled, my voice barely audible. Noah stood there, watching me go, that same confused smile playing on his lips. He'd never met a woman who was so completely indifferent to him. She was a puzzle, a beautiful, stubborn, captivating puzzle, and he was determined to solve it. I met up with Maria in the maintenance bay. Hey, you were on the executive elevator, she said, her eyes wide. You know you can get fined for that, right? I know, I made a mistake, I explained. But that guy with the glasses, the CEO's assistant, he let me use it. You mean Noah? Maria's jaw dropped. He let you? Just like that? Yeah. He even helped me with the bin. Wow, she breathed. Last time I accidentally stepped in there, they docked my pay $50. That's just not fair. I shrugged. Maybe you just didn't ride with the right person. Or maybe, she said, her eyes twinkling as she looked me up and down. He's got a thing for you. I scoffed. Oh, please. Don't be ridiculous. It was just a small act of kindness. Kindness. She leaned closer, inspecting my face. Honey, let me tell you something. You're beautiful, Emma. Seriously, in all my time here, I haven't seen a single woman in this office who is as naturally pretty as you are. You're just saying that. No, I'm not. You're the prettiest one here, and my girl is the prettiest too. We both laughed. A moment of easy camaraderie in the middle of a long day. As we were joking, the two women from this morning walked past, their heels clicking menacingly on the concrete floor. Well, look who it is, one of them sneered, giving me a venomous look. I'm still so pissed that Noah yelled at me because of her. Maria and I knew better than to engage. Let's go, I whispered, pushing my cart forward. They're not worth the trouble. We tried to walk away, but they were spoiling for another fight. I picked up my pace, not wanting any more drama. I glanced over my shoulder to see if they were following, and they were. Annoyed, I pushed my cart faster, my eyes still turned behind me, and that's when it happened. I slammed directly into someone walking around the corner. The impact sent him stumbling backward, his briefcase flying. He lost his balance and fell hard, landing flat on his back with a loud thud. I tried to stop the heavy cart, but it was too late. The whole thing tipped over, spilling its contents, and me right on top of him. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I scrambled to my feet, pushing the cart off of him, my heart pounding with adrenaline and horror. Are you okay? Here, let me help you up. I reached down, grabbing his hand to pull him to his feet. The moment our hands touched, a jolt, like electricity, shot up my arm. Our eyes met, and in that split second, the world stopped turning. Recognition dawned in his eyes, a flicker of shock and disbelief that mirrored my own. Him, it was him, the man from the beach, the stranger from that night 3 years ago, the man who had bought me for $25,000. My mind went blank. All the air left my lungs. My hand, which was holding his, went limp, and I dropped it as if it were on fire. He fell back onto the floor with another thud. Panic, pure, unadulterated panic seized me. I couldn't face him. I couldn't be here. Without a second thought, I turned and ran. I just ran, leaving him, my cart, and my dignity scattered all over the polished marble floor. Maria rushed over to find the company's CEO on the floor, looking utterly bewildered. She froze, her mind racing. Oh God, she's so fired. Emma just ran over the CEO and then left him for dead. She is definitely getting fired. Liam slowly got to his feet, brushing himself off, his eyes still fixed on the spot where I had vanished. He turned to a pale, terrified Maria. That girl, he started, his voice rough. Does she work with you? Yes, Mr. Sterling. Sir, is her name Emma? Maria's eyes widened in fear. She immediately started pleading. Mr. Sterling, please, listen to me. Emma didn't mean to run into you. She was trying to get away from some people. She was in a hurry. Please, sir, give her another chance. She won't do it again. Her family is very poor. If she loses this job. Liam's expression suddenly softened. He actually smiled, a genuine, almost relieved smile. Don't worry, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. I'm not going to blame her. It was just an accident. Maria stared, completely baffled. You're not mad at her? Not at all. Phew, that was a close one, she thought. He must be in a good mood today. This is so strange. She started to push the cart away, but Liam followed her. Excuse me, he called out. One more question. Yes, sir? Do you know where Emma lives? And is she married? I have her address. And no, she's single, sir. Good, he said, a decisive nod. Write down the address for me, please. May I ask why, sir? I have some business with her. Just write it down. Yes, sir. Right away. Liam took the small piece of paper with my address on it, folded it carefully, and slipped it into his jacket pocket. A slow, determined smile spread across his face. Then he went to find Noah. They had a meeting with a client, but Liam's mind wasn't on business anymore. It was on a girl named Emma. It was lunchtime. Maria brought 2 trays of food to a table in the break room, waiting for me. Where did that girl run off to? She muttered to herself, scanning the room. I finally slipped in, looking like a fugitive on the run. I kept my head down, my eyes darting around every corner, convinced he would jump out at me any second. I slid into the seat across from her. Emma, what took you so long? Maria asked. And why do you look like you just robbed a bank? Shh, not so loud, I hissed, shrinking in my seat. I'm just nervous. Nervous about what? Running into the CEO again. Maria laughed. Relax, honey. He's not going to fire you. I talked to him. He was surprisingly cool about it. Actually, he was kind of weirdly nice about the whole thing. Nice? My stomach plummeted. Nice was worse. Nice meant he remembered. Yeah. He asked for your address too. He what? I choked on my own spit. Why would he want my address? Said he had business with you. I don't know. Maybe he wants to send you a bill for dry cleaning. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. Oh God. He knows. He definitely knows. He's going to show up at my house and expose me. Or worse, he's going to fire me and tell everyone what I did. Just eat your lunch, Maria said, nudging my tray toward me. You're overthinking it. It's probably nothing. Nothing. It was everything. The past I had tried so hard to bury was now my boss. Fate really does have a twisted sense of humor. I couldn't eat. I just picked at my food, my mind a whirlwind of anxiety. I spent the rest of the day jumping at shadows, praying I wouldn't run into him again. I just needed to keep my head down, do my job, and hope he would forget about the insignificant cleaning girl he bumped into. Meanwhile, Liam and Noah were on their way back from their client meeting. Are you still flying out to Seoul tomorrow? Noah asked, checking his tablet. Push it back, Liam said, staring out the car window. I have some personal business to attend to here first. Personal business? Noah raised an eyebrow. You haven't taken a personal day in 3 years. Are you okay? Is it your health? I'm fine. In fact, Liam turned to him with a mischievous glint in his eye. I might have some very good news soon. Good news? Like what? We acquiring another competitor? Better. I might be getting you a sister-in-law. Noah nearly dropped his tablet. A what? You're getting married? To who? Wait, let me guess. Is it someone curvy? Someone who loves to cook? Liam laughed. Still trying to set me up with your fantasy woman, huh? No, it's someone special. Someone I thought I'd lost. He dropped Noah off at the office and drove away alone. He followed the directions Maria had given him, leading him away from the gleaming city center and into the quieter, run-down suburbs. He finally pulled up in front of a small, weathered house that looked like it had seen better decades. He got out and walked up the cracked pathway. My mom was sitting on the porch, mending one of my old shirts. Excuse me, ma'am, Liam said politely. She looked up, her eyes kind but wary. Hello, young man. Can I help you? Is this Emma's house? Yes, it is. I'm her mother. Come in, have a seat. Let me get you some water. Thank you, ma'am. He sat on a rickety wooden chair as she fetched him a glass of water. Is Emma home? He asked when she returned. No, she's at work. Her evening job. Evening job? She works another job after cleaning all day. Yes. My mom sighed, a worried frown appearing. She comes home at 5, eats, showers, then heads straight to the coffee shop until 11. It's too much for her. I tell her to slow down, but she won't listen. She's so stubborn. Liam's heart ached for me. He felt a pang of guilt, knowing how hard I was working while he lived in such luxury. Could I have the address of the coffee shop? Of course. It's just a few blocks from here. She wrote it down for him. As he was leaving, he pulled out a thick wad of cash from his wallet. I came in a hurry and didn't bring a gift. Please, take this. For your health. My mom immediately pushed his hand away. Oh no, I couldn't. It's enough that you came to visit. I can't take your money, young man. But Liam was insistent. He shoved the cash into the pocket of her apron and practically ran back to his car before she could protest. Such a polite young man, she murmured, watching him drive away. I didn't even catch his name. Liam drove to the coffee shop, parking across the street. Through the large glass window, he could see me. I was wiping down a table, my face pale with exhaustion, but my movements efficient, practiced. 3 years had passed, but that sad, determined look in my eyes hadn't changed. It still tugged at something deep inside him. I was bringing a tray of dirty cups to the back when the owner, a kind woman named Sarah, called out to me. Emma, customer, coming, I called back. I walked out to the front, wiping my hands on my apron, and froze. It was him, again, sitting there, right in the middle of my coffee shop, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit. My hands started to tremble. Why is he here? Is he following me? Did he come to get his money back? I quickly grabbed a face mask from under the counter and slipped it on, praying it would be enough to hide me. I walked over to his table, keeping my eyes lowered. "Hello, what can I get you?" He didn't look up from the menu. "A hot black coffee, please." Coming right up, I hurried back behind the counter, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. I splashed cold water on my face in the small sink, trying to calm down. He didn't recognize me. "It's fine. Just a coincidence." Sarah noticed my distress. "Are you okay, honey? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," I lied, my voice shaky. "Just tired." "Go sit down for a minute. I'll make his coffee." A few minutes later, she handed me the tray. "Table 4. I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and walked back out. I placed the coffee in front of him and turned to leave as quickly as possible. "Excuse me." His voice stopped me in my tracks. I slowly turned around, dread pooling in my stomach. "Yes?" I ordered a hot coffee. "This is iced." I looked down. Sure enough, the glass was filled with ice cubes. In my panic, I must have mixed up the orders. I am so sorry," I stammered, reaching for the glass. "I'll make you a fresh one right away." "No, it's fine," he said, looking up at me. His eyes were warm, amused. "I've been meaning to try something new." "This is perfect. Are you sure?" "Positive." I fled back to the safety of the counter. Sarah watched me, concerned. "Emma, do you know that guy?" "It's complicated," I whispered. "Please, Sarah, can you handle his table? I can't go back out there right now." Okay. You stay here." "I got it." Liam sat there, sipping his iced coffee, a small smile playing on his lips. He watched me hiding behind the espresso machine, my anxiety practically radiating off me. It was adorable. He decided to have a little fun. "Excuse me," he called out to Sarah. "Could I get another iced coffee? And could you have her bring it to me?" He pointed directly at my hiding spot. Sarah looked confused, but complied. "Emma, he's asking for another one, and he wants you to bring it." My blood ran cold. He knows. He definitely knows. He's toying with me. I can't," I whispered, on the verge of tears. "Emma, it's just a coffee. What's going on? Did you two date or something?" "No, Please, Sarah." But Sarah was already busy with another customer. I had no choice. I took the second coffee, my hands shaking so badly the ice rattled against the glass. I walked over to his table, keeping my eyes fixed on the floor. "Here you go." "Long time no see, Emma," he said softly. I feigned surprise, my voice high and unnatural. "Oh, do I know you? 3 years ago. The beach, my car. You don't remember?" I'm sorry. You must have me confused with someone else. I've never been to that beach. It was you, Emma. You haven't changed a bit. How could I be mistaken? I really don't know you, sir. If you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. Not hard, but firm enough to stop me. "Why did you run away today at the office?" "I was scared of getting fired. You're the CEO. I knocked you down." "Anyone would run." "You're a terrible liar, Emma." "I'm not lying. Please let go of me." He finally released my wrist, but his eyes never left mine. He didn't leave. He sat there until closing time, just watching me work. When I finally locked the door and started walking home, he was waiting by his car. "Let me drive you home." "I'd rather walk. It's late. It's dangerous. I can take care of myself." Emma, please. I just want to make sure you're safe. Why do you care? What do you want from me? Are you here for the money? The extra 5,000? I can pay you back. Just give me some time. He looked hurt. Is that what you think? That I came for the money? Why else would you be here? A man like you doesn't just show up in a place like this for no reason. I came because I couldn't forget you. 3 years, and you've been in my head every single day. Well, I forgot you. The moment I walked away that night, I erased you. So please, do me a favor and do the same. Just leave me alone. I turned and walked away as fast as I could. I heard him call my name, but I ignored him. I needed him gone. He was a complication I couldn't afford. He was a reminder of the most shameful moment of my life. And now, he was my boss. It was too much. As I turned the corner onto my dark street, 3 shadows detached themselves from a wall. 3 young men, skinny, jittery, eyes too wide. I recognized them. Junkies from the neighborhood. Hey, pretty lady, one hissed, stepping into my path. Got $1 for a thirsty man. I tried to step around him, but he blocked me. Another one grabbed my arm. Come on, don't be like that. Let's just talk for a minute. He leaned in close, his breath sour with cheap beer and decay. He tried to put his arms around me. Suddenly, he was flying backward. A pair of strong hands had grabbed him by the collar and hurled him away. He landed hard on the pavement. Liam stood between me and them, his chest heaving, his eyes blazing with fury. Get lost, he snarled at them. Now, the junkies scrambled to their feet, looked at the expensive suit and the sheer rage in Liam's eyes, and decided it wasn't worth it. They scurried away into the darkness like rats. Liam turned to me, his anger instantly replaced by concern. He reached out, his hands hovering near my shoulders, but not quite touching me. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I'm fine, I said, my voice trembling slightly despite myself. I told you I could take care of myself. Yeah, I saw that, he said dryly. You were doing great until I showed up. He walked me the rest of the way to my door. He didn't try to come in, didn't try to kiss me. He just waited until I was safely inside with the lock clicked shut. Good night, Emma. He called softly through the door. I leaned against the cool wood, my heart racing. I hated that he was here. I hated that he had saved me. And most of all, I hated the tiny, treacherous part of me that was glad he had come back. Mom, you're still awake? I asked, closing the front door behind me. I was waiting for you, honey. How was work? She asked, folding a blanket on the couch. Then she paused, her eyes lighting up. Oh, your friend came by and dropped this off for you. She held out the thick wad of cash Liam had given her. My friend? I asked, my blood running cold. Yes, that tall, handsome young man. He was so polite. Said he didn't have time to buy a gift, so he left this instead. I snatched the money from her hand, my fingers trembling with fury. He came here, to our house. Damn him for dragging my mother into this. Mom, listen to me, I said, my voice tight. He is not my friend. We are not to take a single dollar from him. Tomorrow, I'm giving this back. Do you understand? Oh, all right, dear, if you say so. I went to my room and slammed the door, the cash feeling like a burning coal in my hand. I tossed it on my dresser and fell onto my bed, staring at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. My mind was a chaotic mess of old shame and new confusion. After 3 years of carefully constructed peace, he had crashed back into my life, and everything was falling apart. Do I quit my job? Do I move? How do I get away from him? The next day, I went to work with the money tucked securely in my bag. I was on a mission. Find him, give him back his money and tell him, once and for all, to leave me alone. But he wasn't there. I spent the whole morning cleaning the second floor, my eyes constantly flicking towards his empty office. Nothing. I checked again in the afternoon. Still nothing. Fine, I thought with a frustrated sigh. Tomorrow then. As I was wiping down the hallway near the design department, I saw them. The two women who had tormented me before, Hong and Lin, or, as I called them in my head, Heather and Lindsay. They saw me at the same time, and their faces twisted into identical masks of contempt. "Look, Lindsay, it's the trash girl," Heather sneered, loud enough for me to hear. I'm still so pissed that Noah yelled at me because of her. I ignored them, turning my cart to head in the opposite direction. But they followed me, their heels clicking like a countdown on the polished floor. I ducked into the women's restroom to clean the sinks, hoping they'd leave me alone. No such luck. They cornered me by the stalls. "You think you're so special, don't you?" Lindsay hissed, getting right in my face, making Noah stand up for you. "You think he actually likes you? He was just pitying you, you pathetic little charity case. Please, just leave me alone," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I'm just trying to do my job." "We don't feel like it," Heather said, cracking her knuckles. She grabbed my arm. "We feel like teaching you a lesson about your place in this building." I yanked my arm away. "Don't touch me." "Ooh, she's got some fight in her," Lindsay mocked. She lunged for me, but I was faster. I sidestepped her and bolted for the door. As I ran, I felt a tug on my work vest, a slight pressure against my back pocket. I didn't think anything of it. I just wanted to get away. I didn't realize my mistake until later that evening. Just before leaving the office, I reached into my pocket for my keys, and my hand met empty fabric. My heart stopped. The money, the wad of cash Liam had given my mom, it was gone. I frantically searched my pockets, my cleaning cart, retracing my steps through the empty hallways. Nothing. I was on the verge of tears when Maria found me. "Emma, what's wrong? You look like you're about to have a panic attack." "The money. I lost it, Maria. A huge wad of cash. It was in my pocket." "How much?" $5,000. Maria's eyes widened. "Oh, honey." "No." She immediately called security, and we searched everywhere, but it was gone. "Someone must have picked it up," she said grimly. "We need to report this to management." Just then, Liam and Noah walked out of the elevator, laughing about something. They saw my tear-streaked face and immediately sobered. "What's going on?" Liam asked, his eyes locking on mine. The security guard explained. "This young lady seems to have misplaced $5,000, sir." Liam's expression hardened. He leaned in close to me, his voice a low growl, only I could hear. "You carry that much cash around with you at work?" "It was your money," I whispered back, my voice choked with tears. "I was going to give it back to you, but now it's gone." A flicker of understanding, and then something else, amusement, crossed his face. "I didn't ask you to return it. I gave it to your mother." He saw the utter despair on my face, and his tone softened. "Don't worry. I'll replace it." "No," I said, horrified. "I don't want your money." He ignored me, turning to Noah. "Get security to review the camera footage. Check everyone who was on this floor. If anyone found that money and didn't turn it in, they're fired." "Immediately, right away," Noah said, already on his phone. "And if you can't find it," Liam added, his eyes still on me, "take the money from my personal account and give it to her." Noah stared at him, bewildered. "Sir, are you serious? She works her ass off for a few $100s a week. Just give her the money, Noah." "No, I won't take it," I insisted, wiping my eyes angrily. "Please, sir, don't make this harder for me." Noah nodded at me, a look of respect in his eyes. "She's right, Liam. Don't put her in an awkward position." Liam looked frustrated, but he finally relented with a curt nod and stalked off to his office. The investigation began. Security checked the cameras, but the hallways were mostly empty, and there were no cameras inside the restroom where Heather and Lindsay had cornered me. They started searching employees' bags as they left for the day. When they got to Heather, they found a thick stack of cash in her designer handbag, $2,500. "Ma'am, why are you carrying so much cash?" the guard asked suspiciously. Heather scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Are you serious? For poor people like you, I guess this is a lot of money. For me, this is pocket change. My lipstick costs more than your entire uniform. And this purse?" She patted the leather bag. "This purse is worth more than your yearly salary, so check it carefully. You might scratch it." Noah, who was overseeing the search, stepped forward. "That's enough, Heather. He's just doing his job. No need for the attitude." When they searched Lindsay's bag, they found the other $2,500, but both women denied everything, claiming it was their own money. Without proof, there was nothing anyone could do. The search ended. The money was officially gone. As everyone left, Noah found me sitting dejectedly on a bench. "No luck, huh?" he said gently. I shook my head, not trusting myself to speak. "Look, I know you don't want to take money from anyone," he said, "but if you're in a tight spot, I can lend it to you. No strings attached. Just let me know." "Thank you. But no," I said, finally looking up at him. "It was someone else's money. I'll figure out a way to pay it back." I stood up. "I should go. Thanks again for everything." As I walked away, Noah watched me, a strange mix of admiration and frustration on his face. He was used to women who would do anything for a man with money. This girl, who refused to take a cent even when she desperately needed it, was a complete enigma. He went back up to Liam's office. "Nothing," he reported. "The cameras show nothing. But Heather and Lindsay, the two from the design department who have it in for Emma, both had exactly $2,500 in cash on them." Liam's eyes narrowed. "So, 2 and 2 make 4. Exactly. But we have no proof. They claim it's their own." "Let me see the camera footage from the hallway outside the restroom." I already looked. "There's nothing there." "Give it to me anyway," Liam insisted. "I'll review it myself, and tomorrow morning, I want Heather and Lindsay in my office. First thing. Without proof, they'll just deny it." "Don't worry," Liam said, a cold, dangerous smile touching his lips. "I have my ways." He stood up, grabbing his jacket. "All right, I'm heading out. Got a date with a cup of coffee." "A date? With who?" "Just watching someone," Liam said cryptically, and left before Noah could ask any more questions. I walked home that night, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. Another $5,000 in debt to a man I was desperately trying to escape. How was I ever going to pay him back? My life was a never-ending cycle of debt and desperation. As I was walking, a car pulled up beside me, its headlights illuminating the dark sidewalk. Liam's car. He rolled down the window. "Taxi?" he called out, his voice light, teasing. I ignored him, walking faster. "Free taxi?" he tried again. I stopped, turning to face him with a weary sigh. "I'm almost at the coffee shop. I don't need a ride." "Get in anyway. Your legs must be tired." I gave in. I was too exhausted to argue. I got in the car, and we drove the last 2 blocks in silence. He parked across the street again, pulling out a laptop. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Working," he said with a shrug. "Might as well be productive while I'm here." I went inside and started my shift. The whole night, I could feel his eyes on me. Every time I looked up, he was there, staring at me over the top of his laptop, a small, unreadable smile on his face. It was unnerving, distracting, and strangely comforting. During a lull in customers, I finally worked up the courage to go over to his table. "Liam," I began, my voice low. "Yes, Emma, the money you gave my mom. I lost it. I'm so sorry. I'll pay you back. I promise. Can you give me some time?" He leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Tell you what, you want to clear the debt? Right now? How?" He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Kiss me. One kiss, and we'll call it even." My eyes widened in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding me. I'm dead serious," he said, a playful glint in his eyes. He actually puckered his lips, leaning toward me. "Come on, it's a good deal." I was so flustered, so mortified. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed the sugar dispenser off the table and shoved it against his puckered lips. "Here," I hissed. "Have some sugar." "You're being ridiculous." He just laughed, a deep, genuine sound that made my stomach do a little flip. "Don't you ever stop being so serious, Emma?" "No. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to work." I walked away, but I could feel his smile following me, and for the first time all day, I felt a tiny smile of my own tugging at the corners of my mouth. Maybe this wasn't so bad after all. He stayed until I closed up at 11. I saw him still sitting there, engrossed in his work, and walked over. "Closing time. You have to go home now," I said, trying to sound stern. "I was waiting for you," he said, packing up his laptop. "Let's go home together. Your home is miles away in a gated community. My home is a 5-minute walk. You go ahead. I'm not leaving you to walk home alone. It's not safe. I'll be fine. Go." But he was stubborn. He paid for his coffee. I tried to tell him it was on the house, but he insisted and then followed me out the door. "I'm driving you home, Emma." "No, you're not." "Then I'm walking with you." "Don't be ridiculous. What about your car?" "I'll leave it. I can get it tomorrow." I finally snapped. The stress of the day, the lost money, his relentless presence, it all boiled over. "Would you just stop it?" I yelled, spinning to face him on the dark sidewalk. "Why are you doing this? Why are you so obsessed with me?" For the first time, he looked genuinely taken aback, his playful demeanor gone. I don't know," he admitted, his voice quiet. I can't forget you. For 3 years I've tried, but I can't." "Well, I can. For me, that night never happened. It's over, gone. Can't you understand that?" I didn't wait for an answer. I turned and stormed off. He followed, a few paces behind. "Emma, I just want to make sure you get home safe. I don't need you to protect me." I shot back over my shoulder. "Fine," he said, his voice laced with frustration. "You don't want me to walk with you. Fine. I'll walk behind you, all the way to your door." I was so exasperated I could have screamed. "You are the most annoying, stubborn man I have ever met, and you are the most infuriatingly proud woman," he retorted. "Now, are you going to let me drive you home, or are we going to have this ridiculous standoff all night?" We glared at each other for a long moment. Finally, I threw my hands up in defeat. "Fine, drive me home, but this is the last time. After tonight, you leave me alone." Deal," he lied. We got in his car. The short drive was filled with a tense silence. He pulled up in front of my house. "Thank you," I said, getting out of the car. "Emma, wait." He got out too, coming around to my side. That night, it wasn't just a transaction for me. It was for me, I said, my voice cold. That's all it ever was. No, it wasn't. Don't you remember how it felt? I remember needing money to save my mother's life. That's all. I turned to go, but he gently caught my arm. Please, just have dinner with me. One dinner. Let me talk to you. For real. With no games. Why? Because I think I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air, shocking both of us. He looked as surprised as I felt. I stared at him, my heart pounding a frantic, terrified rhythm. Love, him? It was impossible. It was insane. Good night, Liam, I said, pulling my arm away. I fled into my house and locked the door, my back pressed against it, my whole body shaking. The next morning, Liam had Heather and Lindsay brought to his office. Noah stood by, looking grim. "Good morning, ladies," Liam said, his voice deceptively pleasant as he gestured for them to sit. He played the security footage on the large screen behind his desk. It showed the hallway outside the restroom. It showed me running out, followed moments later by the two of them, looking smug. "As you can see," Liam said, pausing the video, "the camera doesn't show what happened inside the restroom. It doesn't show you cornering and harassing an employee, and it doesn't show you stealing $5,000 from her pocket." Heather and Lindsay exchanged a look of triumphant relief. "Exactly," Heather said. "There's no proof. We didn't do anything." "Oh, but there is," Liam said, leaning back in his chair. He clicked a button on his keyboard. An audio file began to play. It was their voices, clear as day, recorded from a hidden microphone in the break room earlier that morning. "Did you hear? The trash girl lost $5,000 yesterday." That was Lindsay's voice. "Lost it. Please. We found it for her. Serves her right for trying to get Noah's attention." That was Heather. "I can't believe we got away with it. We should have taken more." The recording clicked off. The silence in the room was deafening. The color had drained from both women's faces. "You have two options," Liam said, his voice now like ice. "Option 1, you return the money, you sign a letter of resignation, and you leave this building immediately. I will not press charges. Option 2, I hand this recording over to the police, and you can explain to a judge why you think grand larceny and workplace harassment are acceptable behaviors. Your choice." They chose option 1. An hour later, Noah found me in the break room. He handed me a thick envelope. "Your money," he said with a small smile. I stared at it, then at him, completely bewildered. "How?" "Let's just say the culprits had a change of heart. And they won't be bothering you anymore. They've been let go." Relief washed over me, so intense it made me dizzy. "Thank you," I whispered. "Don't thank me. Thank Liam. He's the one who figured it out." That evening, I didn't go to the coffee shop. I knew where I had to go. I took a bus to the rich side of town, my heart a nervous drum against my ribs. I found his building, a sleek, modern tower of glass that scraped the sky. The doorman looked at me like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe, but I held my ground and gave Liam's name. A few minutes later, the elevator doors opened, and he was standing there. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was in jeans and a simple black t-shirt, and for the first time, he didn't look like a CEO. He just looked like a man. "Emma," he said, his voice filled with surprise. I held out the envelope. "Here, your money." He didn't take it. He just looked at me, his eyes searching my face. "That's not why you're here. I also came to say thank you for getting the money back and for getting them fired. They deserved it." We stood there in the opulent lobby, an awkward silence stretching between us. "Will you have dinner with me?" he asked again, his voice softer this time. Just one. As a thank you for your thank you. I looked at him, at the hope and vulnerability in his eyes, and the wall I had built so carefully around my heart began to crumble. Okay, I said, the word barely a whisper. One dinner, he took me to a small, quiet, Italian restaurant tucked away on a side street, a place with checkered tablecloths and candles dripping wax onto old wine bottles. It wasn't fancy or expensive. It was real. And for the first time, we talked, not as a CEO and a cleaner, not as a buyer and a seller, but as two people. He told me about the pressure of his company, the betrayal of his ex-girlfriend, the loneliness that haunted his big, empty apartment. I told him about my mom, about my father, about the crushing weight of responsibility I'd carried for so long. I learned that the bitterness I'd smelled on him that first night wasn't just whiskey, it was heartbreak. And he learned that the desperation in my eyes wasn't just about money, it was about love. That night on the beach, he said, his hand covering mine on the table, I was at the lowest point in my life. I felt like I was drowning. And then I met you, this fierce, terrified, incredibly brave girl. You saved me, Emma. You pulled me out of the dark. Tears welled in my eyes. You saved my mother's life, I whispered. You gave me back the most important person in the world. We looked at each other across the candlelit table, and I realized with a terrifying clarity that I was in trouble, because I was starting to see the man, not the memory. And the man was someone I could fall for. He drove me home, but this time, when he walked me to my door, I didn't run. Emma, he said, his voice rough with emotion, I know my timing is terrible. I know my past with you is complicated. But what I said last night, I meant it. I'm falling in love with you. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away, but I didn't. I couldn't. I stood frozen as his lips gently met mine. It wasn't a kiss of passion or demand. It was a kiss of questions, of tentative hope, of apologies unspoken. It was soft and gentle, and it tasted of red wine and regret and the faint, sweet possibility of a new beginning. When he pulled away, he rested his forehead against mine. Please, he whispered, give me a chance, give us a chance. And in the quiet of the night, with my heart pounding a new, hopeful rhythm, I found myself whispering back, okay. And so, our strange, impossible love story began. It was a secret, at first, a fragile thing we kept hidden from the world. During the day, at Lumiere Media, he was Mr. Sterling, the powerful CEO, and I was Emma, the invisible cleaning lady. We'd pass each other in the halls, exchanging nothing more than a brief, professional nod, all while a current of unspoken electricity crackled between us. But at night, the world transformed. He'd pick me up in his sleek, dark car, and we'd escape. We'd drive out to the coast, not to the deserted beach of our past, but to quiet, starlit coves, where we'd walk for hours, talking about everything and nothing. He'd bring takeout from hole-in-the-wall restaurants he'd discovered, and we'd eat in his car, the sound of the waves, our soundtrack. He was a different person with me. The cold, intimidating CEO melted away, replaced by a man who was warm, funny, and surprisingly goofy. He'd tell terrible jokes just to hear me laugh. He'd try to skip stones on the water and fail miserably, splashing himself and making me giggle. He listened, really listened, when I talked about my dreams, my fears, the simple life I craved, and I, in turn, began to open up in a way I never had before. I told him about the books I loved, the flowers I wanted to plant in a garden one day, the suffocating weight of my past. He never judged me. He never made me feel ashamed. He looked at me as if I were the most precious, wonderful thing he had ever seen. One evening, we were sitting in his car, looking out at the moonlit ocean. "Liam," I asked, my voice hesitant, Do you ever feel embarrassed being with me, the girl who cleans your offices?" He turned to me, his expression serious. He took my hand, his thumb gently stroking my knuckles. "Emma," he said, his voice low and sincere, "the only thing I feel when I'm with you is lucky. Your job doesn't define you. Your heart does. Your strength does. You are the most incredible person I have ever met. Please, never think for a second that I am ashamed of you." He wanted me to quit. He offered to pay for me to go to college, to get a degree, to do whatever I wanted. "Let me take care of you," he'd say. "No," I'd reply, my resolve firm. "I need to do this myself. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. When I finally come to work for your company as more than just the cleaner, I want it to be because I earned it, not because I'm your girlfriend." He didn't push. He understood. He saw that my fierce independence was a part of who I was, a part of the woman he was falling in love with. Our relationship was a beautiful, secret garden, but we both knew, deep down, that secrets can't stay hidden forever. And in a place like Lumiere Media, where gossip was currency, it was only a matter of time before our secret was exposed. The beginning of the end came at lunchtime. Liam, who usually had lunch catered in his office, started showing up in the employee cafeteria. The first time he walked in with a tray, the entire room fell silent. People stared, mouths agape. "What's he doing down here?" they whispered. He ignored them all, his eyes scanning the room until he found me, sitting with Maria. He walked straight over to our table. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice casual, as if this were the most normal thing in the world. Maria and I just stared at him, speechless. Before we could answer, Noah appeared behind him, looking equally bewildered. "Liam, what are you doing?" Noah hissed. "I'm having lunch," Liam said cheerfully. He sat down next to me, his leg brushing against mine under the table. A jolt went through me. I want to make sure the food down here is up to standard. Quality control, you know? Noah sighed, resigned to his boss's madness, and sat down across from us. Maria and I were frozen, forks hovering halfway to our mouths. The entire cafeteria was watching us. "So," Liam said, turning to me with a brilliant smile. "How's the lasagna today, Emma?" I nearly choked. He had never used my first name in public before. Noah's eyes darted between Liam and me, a slow dawn of understanding on his face. He looked at Liam's proprietary smile, at my panicked, blushing face, and the pieces finally clicked into place. "Wait a minute," Noah said slowly, a grin spreading across his face. "You and Emma, is that why?" "Oh my God, it's her, isn't it? The special someone." Liam just winked at him. The meal was excruciating. Liam acted as if we were on a date in a 5-star restaurant. He noticed I had a hard-boiled egg on my tray. "Oh, you haven't eaten your egg yet," he said, reaching over and plucking it from my plate before I could protest. "Let me peel that for you." He meticulously peeled the egg, his movements deliberate and focused, as if he were disarming a bomb. Meanwhile, Noah, seeing I'd finished my small portion of roasted chicken, scooped half of his onto my plate. "You need to eat more, Emma," Noah said kindly. "You're too thin." Liam saw this. A flicker of jealousy, primal and possessive, crossed his face. As soon as he finished peeling the egg, just as I was about to thank Noah for the chicken, Liam unceremoniously shoved the entire egg into my mouth. "Eat your egg, Emma," he said, his voice a little too firm. I sat there, my cheeks puffed out like a chipmunk, the whole egg in my mouth. I couldn't chew. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't speak. I shot him a murderous glare. He just smiled innocently back at me and started peeling another egg. The scene was so absurd, so utterly bizarre, that it didn't go unnoticed. From across the cafeteria, two pairs of eyes were watching with venomous intensity. Heather and Lindsay. They saw the CEO and his handsome assistant fawning over the cleaning girl, and their shared hatred for me solidified into a dark, ugly resolve. "I can't believe this," Heather hissed, her fork snapping in her hand. "He ignores my texts. He avoids me in the office. And for what? For her and Noah," Lindsay added, her voice trembling with rage. "I've been trying to get his attention for months, and he won't even look at me, but he gives the trash girl his chicken. We have to do something," Heather said, her eyes narrowing into dangerous slits. "We have to get rid of her, for good." Their plan began subtly. They started by trying to get close to me. They apologized for their past behavior, blaming it on stress and a misunderstanding. They brought me coffee. They asked about my mom. They complimented my new clothes. I was wary, but I was also lonely. I didn't have any friends at the office besides Maria. I wanted to believe they had changed. So, I let my guard down, a little. Their real plan, however, was far more sinister, and it involved Noah. They knew he had a soft spot for me, and they knew that the only thing that could truly destroy Liam was betrayal by the two people he trusted most, his best friend and the woman he loved. The opportunity came on a Sunday. Liam had an emergency board meeting that he couldn't get out of. I was at home, bored and a little lonely, when my phone rang. It was Heather. "Hey, Emma. Lindsay and I are so bored. We were thinking of going out for a drink, just to unwind. Want to come with us?" I hesitated. "I don't know. I'm not much of a drinker." "Oh, come on. It'll be fun. Just one drink. We'll go to that cool new lounge downtown. Please?" I was reluctant, but I was also tired of being cooped up. "Okay," I said. "Just one." When I got to the lounge, it was loud and crowded, and sitting at the table they had saved, looking uncomfortable and out of place, was Noah. "Noah, what are you doing here?" I asked, surprised. "Heather invited me," he said with a shrug. "Said it was a team-building thing. I didn't realize it was just us." Heather and Lindsay exchanged a quick, triumphant glance. The trap was set. They ordered a round of cocktails. Mine was sweet and fruity, and it went down easily. Too easily. They kept ordering more, laughing and telling stories, making me feel included, like I was one of them. Noah seemed to be enjoying himself too, relaxing a little. I don't remember how many drinks I had. 3, 4. The edges of the world started to go soft and blurry. My head felt heavy, my limbs like lead. I remember leaning my head against the cool leather of the booth, just for a second. The next thing I knew, I was waking up. My head was pounding, my mouth was dry. I was in a room I didn't recognize, a generic, sterile hotel room, and I was in bed, naked, panic, cold and sharp, stabbed through the fog in my brain. I sat up, clutching the sheets to my chest. The door to the bathroom opened, and Noah walked out. He was wearing only a pair of jeans, his chest bare. He saw that I was awake and froze, a look of horror and confusion on his face. "Emma," he whispered. "What? What happened?" Before I could answer, before I could even scream, the hotel room door burst open, and Liam stood there, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. His eyes went from Noah's bare chest to my terrified face, huddled under the sheets. And in that moment, I knew our secret, beautiful garden had just been burned to the ground. The silence in the room was a living thing, heavy and suffocating. Liam's gaze was a physical force, pinning me to the bed. I saw a universe of emotions warring in his eyes. Shock, confusion, and a deep, gut-wrenching betrayal that was so profound, it made me feel like I was suffocating. Liam, I started, my voice a broken croak. It's not what you think. But what else could he think? The scene was a perfectly staged tableau of infidelity. Me, naked in a hotel bed. His best friend, half-dressed and looking just as guilty. He didn't get here by accident. He'd received a text message, an anonymous number, 2 photos. The first was a picture taken at the lounge, cleverly angled. It showed me, my head resting on Noah's shoulder, my eyes closed, a drunken, contented smile on my face. It looked intimate. It looked like a date. The second photo was of Noah, his arm around my waist, guiding my stumbling form through the entrance of this very hotel. The garish neon sign glowing above our heads like a confession. "Get dressed," Liam said, his voice terrifyingly calm. It was the kind of calm that comes before a hurricane, the stillness before the world is torn apart. "Both of you." He didn't yell. He didn't scream. That would have been easier. Instead, he just stood there, his stillness a judgment more potent than any accusation. Noah and I scrambled for our clothes. The simple act of pulling on a shirt, feeling like a monumental task under his cold, watchful gaze. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip my jeans. "I swear, Liam, I don't know what happened," Noah pleaded, his voice desperate. "We were having drinks with Heather and Lindsay, and then it's all a blank. I woke up on the couch in here a few minutes ago. Nothing happened between us." "Shut up, Noah," Liam said, his voice flat. He turned his dead eyes to me. "And you, Emma, what's your excuse? Did you get so drunk you forgot you had a boyfriend? Or was this the plan all along? Get close to the boss, then move on to his right-hand man." The cruelty of his words hit me like a slap. "No, Liam, please, you have to believe me. I don't remember anything after the first couple of drinks. I would never. I love you." "Love?" He laughed, a short, ugly sound devoid of any humor. "You have a strange way of showing it." He grabbed my arm, his grip like steel, and pulled me out of the room, out of the hotel, and into the harsh light of the afternoon. He shoved me into his car and drove, the silence between us, thick with unspoken accusations and my silent, desperate tears. He didn't take me home. He took me to the hospital. "What are we doing here?" I sobbed. "We're getting a toxicology report," he said, his voice devoid of all emotion. "We're going to find out exactly what was in those drinks." The results came back a few hours later. Rohypnol, a high dose, mixed with alcohol. I had been drugged. The doctor explained it to Liam in the hallway, his voice a low, clinical murmur. I watched them through the glass, my heart a cold, heavy stone in my chest. When Liam came back into the room, the fury was gone from his face, replaced by a hollow, haunted look. He knew I was telling the truth. He knew I hadn't betrayed him, but the damage was done. The image of me and Noah in that hotel room was burned into his mind, a poison that had already started to corrupt everything we had built. The doctor said, he began, his voice rough, that there was no sign of assault. "Nothing happened, Emma." Relief, so profound it was painful, washed over me, but it was short-lived. I looked at his face, at the distance in his eyes, and I knew that in a way, something had happened. Heather and Lindsay's plan had worked perfectly. They hadn't needed to orchestrate a physical betrayal. The image of one was enough. They had planted a seed of doubt, and it had taken root. We drove back to my apartment in that same crushing silence. He walked me to my door. "Liam," I whispered, my hand on his arm. "Please, talk to me." He wouldn't look at me. "I need some time, Emma. I need to think." He pulled his arm away and walked back to his car, leaving me alone on my doorstep, the chasm between us feeling wider and more impossible than ever. The next day at work, the axe fell. Noah, Heather, and Lindsay were all fired. Their termination papers were delivered by HR, effective immediately. They were escorted out of the building by security, their personal belongings in cardboard boxes. Even Maria, my only friend, was let go. Liam had discovered that Noah had bribed her to help him get closer to me, promising her a promotion. In his pain, Liam was cutting out everyone and everything connected to the betrayal. A surgeon excising a cancer. The innocent and the guilty were all cut away in one brutal sweep. I didn't go to work that day, or the next. Liam had told me to take the week off, to recover, but it felt like a suspension, a punishment. He wouldn't answer my calls. He wouldn't reply to my texts. I finally found out what had happened when I went to my mother's house. She told me she'd heard from Maria. I was devastated. Liam had fired the only person who had been consistently kind to me. It felt like he was systematically erasing every part of my life that he had touched. I quit my evening job at the coffee shop and asked Sarah if I could work full-time. I needed to work. I needed to exhaust myself, to fill every waking moment with the mindless routine of taking orders and wiping tables, anything to keep from thinking, from feeling the ache of his absence. A few days later, he walked into the coffee shop. He looked terrible. He had dark circles under his eyes, and he'd lost weight. He sat at a corner table and waited. I ignored him. I took orders. I made coffee. I cleaned tables. My movements, a whirlwind of manufactured busyness, circling the room but never getting close to him. He finally called out my name. "Emma, please, we need to talk." I walked over, my face a mask of cold indifference. "There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is," he said, his voice raw. "I was wrong. I was hurt and angry, and I said things I didn't mean. I'm sorry." "You called me easy," I said, the words still a fresh wound. "You, of all people. You know my history. You know you were the only one, and you threw it in my face." "I know," he whispered, his eyes filled with regret. It was unforgivable, but I was out of my mind. The thought of losing you to him, to anyone, it broke me. "You didn't just say things, Liam. You acted. You fired Maria. She has a family. She needed that job." He flinched. It was collateral damage. I couldn't trust anyone anymore. "Well, you can't trust me either, apparently. So maybe it's for the best that we end this now." I turned to walk away, but his next words stopped me. I reinstated her, and I gave her a raise. And Noah. I called him. I apologized. I told him I know he was a victim in this too. I offered him his job back. I slowly turned back to face him. He didn't take it. Liam continued, a sad smile on his face. He said some things can't be fixed. He's right, but I'm hoping, I'm praying, that we're not one of them. "Emma, I love you. I was a jealous, paranoid idiot. Please, don't give up on me." He looked so broken, so lost. The anger that had been my shield for days began to melt away, replaced by the familiar, painful ache of loving him. I sighed, a long, shaky breath. "You are the most stubborn, infuriating, high-handed man I have ever met." A flicker of hope ignited in his eyes. "Is that a yes?" "It's a, you're on thin ice," I said, but a small smile betrayed me. "Now, Are you going to order something? Or are you just going to sit here and disrupt my workflow all day? He grinned, a real, relieved grin that transformed his tired face. I'll take one coffee and a lifetime of you. We didn't go back to the way things were. We couldn't. The trauma of that day had changed us, but in a way, it had made us stronger. The secret was out. There was nothing left to hide. We started over, slowly. He came to the coffee shop every day, not as a CEO, but just as a man in love, waiting for his girlfriend to finish her shift. He talked to my mom. He helped me with my online college courses, which he had insisted on paying for. He became a part of my small, simple world, and I, tentatively, stepped into his. 6 months later, on a quiet evening at the beach, our beach, the one where we first met, he asked me to marry him. He didn't have a fancy ring or a prepared speech. He just took my hand, his eyes shining in the moonlight, and said, "I can't imagine my life without you in it, Emma. Please, be my wife." And I said yes. Our wedding was small, just my mom, a few of his close friends, and us. I wore a simple white dress I'd bought on sale. He wore a suit that was probably worth more than my car, but he looked at me like I was the most valuable thing in the world. And what of the others? Life, in its strange and unpredictable way, had a plan for them too. Heather, disgraced and unemployable in the city, moved away. Lindsay, consumed by guilt, eventually confessed everything to the police. And Noah? He started his own successful consulting firm. A year after our wedding, we ran into him at a charity gala. It was awkward at first, but then he smiled a genuine, friendly smile. He was with a woman, a kind-faced architect, who looked at him with unabashed love. He and Liam shook hands, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they had shared and the pain they had overcome. Sometimes, late at night, when Liam is asleep beside me in our big, comfortable bed, I think back to that desperate, terrified girl standing on a dark street corner, willing to sell the only thing she had left. I think about the shame, the fear, the utter hopelessness. And then I look at the man beside me, the man who saw past the transaction and found the person underneath. Our beginning was a tragedy, a business deal born of desperation and heartbreak. But somewhere along the way, in the wreckage of our broken lives, we found something beautiful. We found redemption. We found grace. We found love. Not in a fairy tale, but in the messy, complicated, painful, and glorious reality of our shared story. And that, I've learned, is the only kind of love that truly lasts.